I remember watching this speaker, right? He was a speaker that spoke to people that was in recovery. He was in recovery. He was a former drug addict. And I remember in his speech, he was saying how one of the things that really hit him that made him change was he was jealous of sober people. Because he was jealous of sober people because he was like, man, sober people can enjoy life and just be them with like out any drugs or with like out any extras. And he was like, he envied that. And when I heard him say that, that really hit me. Like, dang, like that's real. Like, sober people can enjoy life. Like, people that are abstinent of drugs and alcohol, like, they can enjoy life without having that extra addition or that extra attachment, right? And then I remember listening to Kendrick Lamar's last album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. And he has this song, I forget the name of it, but it has sober in it or whatever, right? But in that song, he talks about you haven't really dealt with life until you dealt with life sober. And it made me think, like, whoa, like, I haven't really dealt with like my issues, my insecurities, my depression, the things I was going through. I never really truly dealt with those. Like, I masked those by smoking a gang of weed day after day after day. I masked those by partying and drinking and doing like other various drugs. And I realized that I haven't been me for a long time. I haven't been me for a long time. Since I started smoking weed when I was 15, right? So from there on, about like 15 to 20 years, I smoked weed. And it's been me plus that weed. Or when I was off other stuff, it's been me plus that other stuff. Like, it hasn't been just me. And it's interesting because when some people get certain drugs, they don't want it to be cut, right? They want it to be pure. Yet, when they do those drugs, they're not pure. They're cut. They're cut. They got a little bit of cut when they do those drugs. And I just want to let you know today, I'm not criticizing you about whatever you do. I'm not doing that. Because I did it probably longer and harder and wilder and crazier than you ever did. But what I want you to know is that when you do any drug, and weed is no exception. Look, I loved smoking weed. I smoked weed for a long, long, long time. But I just need you to know that when you smoke weed, when you drink and get drunk, when you do those other hardcore drugs, when you pop those pills, you are not you. You are adding a spiritual attachment to your spirit. Because when you do those things, it changes your spirit. It changes your way of thinking. Think about it. Why else are you doing it? You're doing it so you could feel good. You're doing it so you could feel better. You're doing it so you could feel happy. You're doing it so you could stop thinking about things that may be stressing you out. When I first started smoking weed when I was 15, I started smoking weed because I was sad. I was depressed. I was in a place where I wanted to be uplifted. And when I smoked weed, it made me laugh. It made me happy. It made me start enjoying life. And that became a constant thing that I needed to do in order to stay on that level. And I could never be happy on my own. But it hit me when I heard this speaker say that sober people are happy just being themselves. And right now I'm here to tell you that today, this very day, I am 100% satisfied and happy with being myself. But let me tell you why. It's because I have a better understanding of who I am. I have a better understanding of what happiness is. I have a better understanding of how to attain a consistent joy that has longevity. Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 3 says, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee." My mind has been stayed on God. My mind has been stayed on God's peace. My mind has God's way of thinking. And because of that, I can be just happy with being who God created me to be. And I don't need no additional attachments anymore. I just don't need it. I remember when I used to need it, but here's what I had to do. I had to throw away all my weed stuff. Like, I had to get rid of my pipes. I had to get rid of the little extra weeds I had. I had to get rid of the whoever the weed connects were, or whatever it was. And in addition to the other drugs that I used to do, like, I had to just, like, I had it. Like, I made a choice. I could have kept on doing it and did it until it was finished. But before it was even finished, I believed in God. I took that leap of faith. Hebrews 11:6 says, "But without faith it's impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him." And James 2:20 says, "O vain man, don't you know that faith without works is dead?" You see, not only did I have faith, but I had the works to back the faith. And before I could finish all the drugs, I got rid of it. I threw it. I said, I don't want this. I know I don't want this. And I trusted that God would give me the peace, that he would fill in that void that I felt like I was missing. And sure enough, he did. And not only did he do it that day, but he's doing it every day since then, as long as I keep my mind stayed on him. So the message today is, I just want to let you know that you are not you when you're doing drugs. You are you plus whatever drug you're doing. So if you want to be you today, if you want to be completely pure, uncut you, the you that God made you to be, the you that God made to have dominion over your life and have joy and have peace and have power and not be a slave to any drugs or alcohol or any kind of addiction, then take that leap of faith and just do away with it and trust in God. That's the message today. BTB up in this baby. You know what it is. Let's get it.